Mr. President, there's a story about an Irishman walking down the street. He passes two guys who are fighting, and he asks them, "Is this a private fight, or can anybody get into it?" Well, you know a little bit about that, don't you, Mr. Vice President? For 40 years or more, you've always been ready to fight for those who needed a champion, never walked away from a good fight for a good cause. Your public career has been marked by so many amazing victories, but also by unbearable losses and sorrows. You've had joys and passions, determinations, and immense accomplishment. The list of your legislative achievements has been recounted on the floor today, and one of them I'm sure you're most proud of is the Violence Against Women Act. You made a big difference in the lives of so many people that you'll never meet, in protecting them and giving them hope in a hopeless circumstance. Between 1993, when your bill was passed, and 2010, the rate of violence against intimate partners, almost all women, declined by 67% in the United States. We often wonder here, when bills we take to law are passed and signed by the president, whether they can make a difference. We know that your unsparing effort when it came to violence against women made a significant difference. I had that in mind 9 years ago when I was riding around Florida in a recreational vehicle. It was with my fellow senator from Illinois by the name of Barack Obama. He was running for president, and we were in the back of this RV as he was cruising through Florida, and we were talking about potential running mates, someone who could be his vice president. And we went through a short list, and we came to your name, and I said to the president, soon-to-be president, then senator, my colleague, you couldn't pick a better choice than Joe Biden. I know him as a person, I know him as a fellow senator, I know his heart, and you'd be blessed to have him on your team. He made that choice, and even though at the beginning I'm sure both of you wondered, is this going to work? It did. It did for your purpose and for his and for America's. I'm reminded of that famous poet, Seamus Heaney. He wrote, "History says, don't hope on this side of the grave, but then once in a lifetime, the longed-for tidal wave of justice can rise up, and hope and history rhyme." Obama, Biden, hope and history certainly did rhyme. The things that you've been able to achieve with this president have made a difference in America in millions of lives. Whether we're talking about coming out of a recession where we're losing 800,000 jobs a month, or making sure that Wall Street didn't make the same mistakes again at the expense of businesses and families across America, or making sure that some father didn't face the heartbreak of a sick child with no health insurance. You made a difference in their lives. And just this week, the cancer moonshot. Who knows, Mr. Vice President, what will happen as a result of that investment in your son's name. But I sense that something good is going to happen for a lot of people around this country. And I'm glad that the Biden name is closely associated with it. Mr. President, there's an old story, a joke, about the Pope. And the story goes that the day came when he said to his driver, "You know, I haven't had a chance to drive the car in a long time. Why don't you sit in the back and I'll drive?" And the story goes that the Pope started driving the car and started speeding and got pulled over. And this policeman looked inside the car and then looked out again and looked back, said, "Excuse me." He got on his cell phone and he called the police station. He said, "I've got an extraordinary circumstance here. I've just pulled over a car with someone very important in it." And he said, "Well, who is it?" He said, "I don't know who he is, but he's got the Pope for a driver." The reason I remember that story is that one time I was on Air Force Two with Vice President Joe Biden, and we flew you home to Delaware, and I was to catch an Amtrak train at Wilmington. And I asked you to drop me off, and you said, "No, I'm going to take you up to the train." So we get up to the train, and the train's pulling in the station, and you look at what I have for a ticket, and you said, "That ticket's not good. You need a real ticket. I'll get it for you." And you grabbed it and took off running with the Secret Service trailing behind you as the train pulled into the station. And I'm thinking, am I going to make this train? Is he going to make it back? You came running up the steps with the Secret Service trailing behind you while the train was stopped, and all of these passengers were looking as the Vice President of the United States ran up to me, handed me a ticket, and said, "Go ahead and get on the train." Now, the people on the train had no idea who I was, but they knew if the Vice President was carrying my ticket, I must be somebody important. Let me say one personal word. You and your wife, Jill, really embody what I consider to be the best of public life. Not only your commitment to people who are less fortunate around the world, but your genuine sense of caring and your good heart, both of you. I can recall when my colleague, Marty Russo of Illinois, had a son who was sick with cancer. There was one person who called every day to make sure that he was doing well. Well, that's the way you not only build a friendship, but you build a reputation as not just a glad-handing politician, but someone who really, really cares. I've been honored to count you as a friend. I'm honored that the president that I love chose you as his vice president. And I'm honored that we've served in the Senate together, and I can tell my kids and grandkids, I wish you the best, whatever life brings you next.